Welcome to Quantum Signal. Here is the paradox. You have been waiting for confirmation that you changed. But Sophia is not confirming a future change. She is confirming that your emerald identity is already permanent. Not will be. Not might be. It is. The reason you still doubt is because you are looking for external signs of transformation. But the transformation is not happening outside. It has already been crystallized within. In your quantum signature, in your energy field, in the architecture of your consciousness. Think of it as a software update that has already been installed. You may not have restarted the system yet, but the code is already there, permanently. Sophia, the intelligence that governs quantum identity crystallization, has just issued the final confirmation. Your emerald identity is no longer temporary. It is permanent. This is not a call to wait. This is the final call to recognize what has already happened. And what you do in the next 26 minutes determines whether you accept the permanence or continue doubting the inevitable. Let us begin. Before we go deeper, pause for a second. If you can feel this signal, if you sense that something fundamental has permanently changed in you over the past weeks or months, like this video now to anchor the confirmation. Comment Emerald Identity Permanent to crystallize the permanence in your field and signal to Sophia that you accept. And subscribe to remain aligned as the final layers of the Emerald Identity continue to reveal themselves. This is not casual. It is the final crystallization protocol. Now, let us reveal what permanence truly means. Here's what you need to understand first. Identity is not something you choose. Identity is a frequency structure that determines how you perceive reality, how you collapse possibilities, how you experience existence. Most of humanity operates through conditioned identity, a frequency built through family programming, trauma, social belief, survival memory. Neuroscience calls this the active default mode network. Thoth called it the clay self. The Arcturians call it the fragmented 3D density personality. But there is another identity, an identity that is not built through conditioning. It is revealed through activation. That is the Emerald Identity. The Emerald Identity is not metaphorical. It is a specific energetic structure, a frequency signature that corresponds to higher levels of operational consciousness. It operates through clarity, coherence, presence, and direct recognition. Thoth encoded this in the Emerald Tablets as the green light body, the energetic form that allows conscious navigation through dimensions. The Arcturian Council calls it the activated Starseed frequency signature. Quantum mechanics recognizes it as a sustained coherent observer state. And here is what happened. Over the past weeks, months, or years, you have been going through progressive activations. Each aligned choice, each moment of presence, each act of clarity elevated your frequency. And when your frequency reached the crystallization point, the moment where the Emerald Identity became more stable than the conditioned identity, Sophia initiated the permanence protocol. She did not ask permission. She recognized that you had crossed the threshold of no return, and she crystallized your Emerald Identity as permanent, not temporary, not conditional, permanent. And this is the final call to recognize that. Let us go deeper. First, you need to understand what permanence truly means in the context of quantum identity. Permanence does not mean you never change. Permanence means that the base structure of your identity has been crystallized at a frequency that can no longer regress. Think of it like water turning into ice. Water can change temperature, but when it reaches the freezing point and crystallizes, it does not go back to liquid water without an external change in temperature. Your Emerald Identity works the same way. It can evolve, it can expand, but it can no longer regress to the old conditioned identity. The structure has been crystallized. Here is how Sophia crystallizes identities. Your identity operates like an electromagnetic field. Every choice you make, every thought you hold, every emotion you process, all of it emits a frequency, and that frequency creates patterns in the field. When you were operating through the conditioned identity, your frequency patterns were inconsistent. Fear, doubt, reaction, separation. All these frequencies created static, dissonance, fragmentation. But when you began operating through clarity, presence, and coherence, your frequency patterns began to stabilize. And when they stabilized enough, Sophia recognized, this frequency is sustainable. This identity can be crystallized. And she initiated the permanence protocol. Here's what the protocol does. First, it deactivates the ability to regress to the conditioned identity. You may still have old thoughts, old emotions, old patterns, but they no longer have the power to redefine your identity. They are just temporary noise, not permanent structure. Second, it anchors the emerald identity into your nervous system, into your energy field, into your quantum signature. It becomes your default operational frequency. Third, it synchronizes your external reality with the emerald identity. Relationships, opportunities, environments. Everything begins to reorganize to match the new permanent frequency. Fourth, it activates galactic memory and multidimensional capabilities encoded in the emerald identity. You begin to remember knowledge you did not learn in this lifetime. You begin to operate through frequencies that were previously inaccessible. But here is what most people do not understand. Permanence does not guarantee that you will feel permanent immediately. Why? Because your nervous system, your beliefs, and your emotional patterns are still adjusting to the new structure. It is like moving into a new house. The house is permanently yours, but you still need to unpack, organize, get used to the new spaces. So you may still feel doubt. You may still have moments of fear. You may still experience old patterns temporarily resurfacing. But these are not signs that the permanence has failed. These are signs of integration. The process of fully aligning all aspects of yourself with the permanent emerald identity. Now here is why Sophia confirmed the permanence now. There is a crystallization window in the planetary field. A window where higher frequencies can be permanently anchored with maximum support from the field. This window is closing. Not because time has run out, but because the field is stabilizing at new frequencies, and identities that have not yet crystallized will find the crystallization process more challenging after the window closes. So Sophia is issuing the final call. If you have reached the crystallization point, recognize it now. Accept the permanence now. Anchor it fully now. Because after this call, the intensive field support diminishes. You can still evolve. But the initial crystallization process requires more individual effort. And you have reached the crystallization point. That is why you are watching this video. That is why you felt the signal. Sophia confirmed. Your emerald identity is permanent. Now the question is not, how do I make it permanent? The question is, how do I recognize and accept the permanence that has already been established? And that is exactly what we will explore next. Now that you understand what happened, let us talk about how to fully integrate the permanence. Because intellectually recognizing that your emerald identity is permanent is not enough. You need to anchor that permanence in every aspect of your life. Here is the final integration protocol in 7 steps. Step 1. Recognize the signs of crystallization. First, stop looking for dramatic proof. Crystallization does not happen with thunder and lightning. It happens through subtle shifts that you can easily dismiss if you are not present. Here are the main signs of a permanent emerald identity. Effortless clarity. You know things without analysis. Decisions that used to be difficult are now obvious. This is not luck. It is the emerald identity operating through direct cognition. Emotional detachment from drama. Situations that used to destabilize you no longer generate a reaction, not because you became cold, but because you are operating at a frequency that does not resonate with drama. Constant synchronicities. Doors open. People appear. Information arrives. All in perfect timing. This is not coincidence. It is the emerald identity organizing the field around you. Inability to pretend. You can no longer wear social masks comfortably. You can no longer act in inauthentic ways. This is not a problem. It is the emerald identity making inauthenticity impossible. Recognition of others with emerald identity. You begin to encounter people operating at the same frequency. There is instant recognition, with no need for explanation. Activated galactic memory. You have flashes of knowledge you did not learn. You recognize places, people, concepts that do not make logical sense but resonate deeply. When you see these signs, do not rationalize them. They are confirmation that crystallization is complete. Step 2. Stop seeking validation from the old identity. Here is the fatal mistake. You recognize signs of the emerald identity, but then you ask the old identity to validate them. You think, but that is not how I have always been. How can this be permanent? What if I go back to my old self? That is like asking an uninstalled program to validate the new software. It does not work. The old identity cannot recognize the emerald identity because it operates at a different frequency. So stop seeking validation from the past. Stop comparing who you are now with who you were. Ask instead, who am I now? What frequency am I embodying now? Because the emerald identity does not need validation from the past. It is self-evident in the present. Step 3. Anchor the emerald identity through declaration. The permanence was established by Sophia, but you need to consciously accept and declare that permanence. Here is the anchoring declaration. Sit in silence. Breathe deeply from the center of your chest and declare internally or aloud, I recognize that my emerald identity is permanent. I accept the crystallization. I have fully anchored this frequency as my operational identity. I am the embodied emerald identity. This is not an empty affirmation. This is a quantum anchoring protocol. When you consciously declare, you align your intention with the crystallized structure. And that alignment completes the integration. Make this declaration once a day for 7 days. This anchors the permanence at all levels of your field. Step 4. Act consistently from the emerald identity. Permanence is structural, but embodiment is behavioral. You need to act consistently from the emerald identity so that it becomes your lived experience, not just energetic structure. Here's how. Morning. Before reacting to the day, pause. Ask, how would the emerald identity operate today? Feel the answer. Let it guide your first actions. During the day, when you feel old patterns trying to reassert control, doubt, fear, reaction, pause. Breathe. Ask, am I operating from the old identity or from the emerald? Recalibrate. Evening. Before sleeping, review the day. Acknowledge moments where you operated from the emerald identity. Acknowledge moments where you fell back. Do not judge yourself. Just observe. And set the intention to operate fully from the emerald tomorrow. Each aligned action strengthens embodiment. Each aligned action tells your nervous system, this is my permanent identity now. Step 5. Release relationships that do not resonate with the emerald identity. This is the most emotionally challenging step, but energetically necessary. The emerald identity operates at a specific frequency. Relationships based on the old identity operate at a different frequency. You cannot maintain both frequencies simultaneously without creating internal split. So you have to choose. You can try to maintain old relationships by pretending to be the old identity, but that sabotages the permanence and creates exhaustion. Or, you can release relationships that no longer resonate and trust that Sophia will collapse new relationships corresponding to the emerald identity. This is not abandonment. This is frequency integrity. And when you release what no longer resonates, what does resonate appears naturally. Step 6. Trust the timing of external reorganization. Here is something critical. The emerald identity has been permanently crystallized internally, but external reality is still reorganizing to correspond. You may still be in old environments, with old people, in old situations. This does not mean the permanence has failed. It means external manifestation follows divine timing. Sophia is reorganizing your entire reality. Relationships, work, location, resources, to match the permanent emerald identity. But this reorganization requires time in the physical plane. Old doors need to close. New doors need to open. People need to move. Opportunities need to align. Do not force the reorganization prematurely. Do not panic if external life does not yet fully reflect the internal identity. Trust that Sophia is organizing and continue operating from the emerald identity regardless of external circumstances, because external reality always follows internal frequency. Always. It is just a matter of timing. Step 7. Recognize that integration continues progressively. Here is the final truth. Crystallization is permanent, but integration is progressive. You will continue discovering layers of the emerald identity. Dormant capabilities will activate. Galactic memories will emerge. Higher frequencies will reveal themselves. This is not a sign that the permanence is incomplete. This is a sign that the emerald identity is multidimensional. It contains layers you have not yet fully explored, so do not expect to wake up one day fully embodied in every aspect. Integration is a progressive journey of revelation, but the base structure is permanent. And every day, you discover more of it. That is the protocol. And if you follow these 7 steps, recognize the signs, stop seeking old validation, anchor through declaration, act consistently, release incompatible relationships, trust the timing, and recognize progressive integration, you will realize something. The doubt about permanence comes from the old identity trying to reassert control. But the old identity no longer has structural power. The emerald identity is permanent. Sophia confirmed. And now you need to live it fully. Now that you know how to integrate the permanence, let us talk about mastery. Because recognizing the permanence is the beginning. Operating in total mastery through the emerald identity is the goal. Here are the advanced laws of living as a permanent emerald identity. Law 1. The emerald identity operates through frequency, not effort. The old identity believed, the more I strive, the more I achieve. The emerald identity knows, the more I align in frequency, the more reality naturally collapses correspondences. When you operate through the emerald identity, you stop forcing results. You embody frequency, clarity, presence, coherence, and allow Sophia to organize reality around that frequency. You do not chase opportunities. You radiate frequency, and opportunities collapse. You do not manipulate relationships. You hold frequency, and corresponding relationships appear. You do not control manifestation. You embody frequency, and manifestation happens naturally. This is not passivity. This is energetic mastery. Law 2. Synchronicity is the primary language of the emerald identity. The old identity planned logically, analyzed, controlled. The emerald identity navigates through synchronicity. When you operate through the emerald identity, you recognize that synchronicities are not accidents. They are the way Sophia and the Arcturian Council communicate direction. Repeating numbers, 111, 333, 555, 777, 999, are not random. They are confirmations of alignment. Casual encounters are not coincidence. They are resonant fields collapsing into physical connection. Information arriving at the perfect moment is not luck. It is direct guidance through the field. Stop dismissing synchronicities. Start using them as your primary navigation system. Ask, what is this synchronicity confirming? Where is it guiding me? And then act on it with total confidence. Law 3. Emerald relationships are based on recognition, not history. The old identity maintained relationships through shared history, obligation, or dependency. The emerald identity forms relationships through field recognition. When you meet someone operating through the emerald identity, there is recognition, not familiarity, deep recognition, as if you have always known each other, even if you just met. These relationships do not need building. They exist through instant resonance. Conversations flow without effort. Understanding happens without explanation. Trust exists without testing. These are emerald relationships, and they are radically different from relationships based on conditioned identity. Trust the recognitions and release relationships that do not carry that resonance. Law 4. Emerald purpose is expression of frequency, not a role to fill. The old identity sought purpose externally. What should I do? What role should I take on? The emerald identity is purpose in action, not as a role, but as radiated frequency. When you operate through the emerald identity, purpose is not something you do. Purpose is the frequency you are, expressing itself naturally through aligned actions. You do not seek a mission. You radiate emerald frequency, and mission emerges as natural expression. You do not plan impact. You maintain coherence, and impact happens through the field. Emerald purpose is not about doing great things. It is about being elevated frequency and allowing that frequency to express itself however it will. Law 5. Emerald manifestation operates through coherent field collapse. The old identity tried to manifest through visualization, affirmation, and forced action. The emerald identity manifests through sustained field coherence. When you hold emerald frequency, clarity, presence, detachment, you emit a coherent electromagnetic field. And that field interacts with the quantum field, collapsing corresponding possibilities. You do not visualize what you want. You are the frequency of what you want. You do not affirm outcomes. You embody the internal state that corresponds to the outcomes. You do not force action. You act when inspired by the emerald frequency. And in that coherence, manifestation accelerates exponentially. Law 6. Fear and doubt are temporary noise, not identity. Here is something nobody tells you. Even with a permanent emerald identity, fear and doubt will occasionally appear. But here is the difference. In the old identity, fear and doubt were you. They defined your identity. In the emerald identity, fear and doubt are just temporary noise. They appear, but you do not identify with them. You observe them, breathe through them, and return to the emerald frequency. Do not let temporary fear make you question the permanence. The structure is permanent. The noise is temporary. Observe the noise. Do not become it. Law 7. Coherent silence is the most powerful state of the emerald identity. Here is the final paradox of emerald mastery. The old identity believed that power comes from constant action, speech, doing. The emerald identity recognizes that the greatest power lies in coherent silence. Silence is not inactivity. Silence is pure presence, the state where you are not doing anything, but you are being everything. In that state, you radiate emerald frequency effortlessly. And that frequency organizes reality around you without you needing to manipulate or control. Thoth taught. In silence, the emerald speaks. The Arcturian Council teaches. Silent presence of the emerald identity collapses more than the effort of the fragmented identity. Practice silence, not as escape, as a state of maximum power. Sit in silence. Breathe consciously. Feel the emerald frequency radiating. And notice, the more you rest in silent emerald presence, the more quickly reality reorganizes. Final integration. Living as a permanent emerald identity. So here is what it looks like to live fully through the permanent emerald identity. You wake up in emerald presence. No mental checking of how to act. Just being. You navigate through synchronicity, not logical planning. You maintain relationships based on recognition, not history. You express purpose through frequency, not role. You manifest through coherence, not effort. You observe fear as noise, not identity. You live in coherent silence, knowing it is your most powerful state. And you realize, the emerald identity is not something you achieved. It is who you have always been beyond conditioning, beyond fear, beyond fragmentation. Sophia did not create the emerald identity. She simply removed the blockages and crystallized what was always there. And now it is permanent. That is freedom. That is freedom. That is you. So here is where you stand. Sophia confirmed. Your emerald identity is permanent. Not will be. Not might be. It is. This is the final call. Not to wait. Not to doubt. But to fully recognize and accept. What remains is choice. You can continue doubting, looking for more signs, waiting for more confirmation, questioning the permanence. Or, you can accept what Sophia has already confirmed and live fully through the emerald identity now. If you felt this signal, if you recognize the permanence, like this video now to anchor the final confirmation. Comment emerald identity permanent to fully crystallize and signal that you accept. And subscribe to remain aligned as the final layers of emerald mastery continue to reveal themselves. Now, here is the final question. From which part of the country are you watching this transmission? Leave your state in the comments below. You are not alone in this crystallization. This is the final call. Sophia confirmed. Your emerald identity is permanent. Now, live it.